Okay.
A very warm good evening to everyone present here.
Who said that in that very deep voice?
Who else? Miss, come on, ma'am. Who else will say? So much bass in his voice.
Wow, I'm so happy to see so many of you here today. Well done. I think a couple people are still joining. I can see in the waiting room. 19 people are already here. But I think we can begin. I think Satyam is just connecting his audio is what I see, as is Nafisa.
Ma'am.
Yes.
This index is so...
I haven't talked to you enough today. Really, I have not talked to you enough today.
Now, this index is so amazing. Like when I was in 11th, we didn't had all this like blog writing and all this. We never had when I was in 11th. Then they have dramas in section 4 and everything.
Mohammed, when you're happy, it makes me very happy.
But Mohammed, I had it when I was in the 11th.
Mohammed, you didn't read your English textbook.
Both you girls, leave him alone. If he's happy that it's there, then let it be. As it is, we have 2 men, all of Pehchan. Leave them alone.
Oh, you're forgetting some. There are more than 2, for sure.
Now, did you not understand the meaning of what I was trying to say?
Bichara, that people will feel which one you forgot. So that's not specifying there are more than 2.
Can you all tell we have all been talking too much today? All right, we're good to go. Please, let's start. We're just missing 1 or 2 people. We are 24, which is our audience base. So, Dilkhush, nice haircut. I see that.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, let's begin, please. Is Rakshita taking us through? Is Rashna taking us through? How's this working, please? Rashna, you're on mute, Bucks.
It's gonna Rashna ma'am is gonna be the narrator, and 2 characters, the main characters, which is Joe and Lawrence, is gonna be taken by me.
Sounds good.
Yes.
You will be Laurie and Mr. Lawrence in turn as they come up. Thank you. And Mohammed, for all the time you spent not reading your English book, today you're really going to get your just rewards.
But he read this. That's what we were discussing.
So we have 9.5 pages. And last time we had the sneaking suspicion that many of the people had not read the chapter before. And I'm really sorry, but we're going to have to do a very fast read. All right. So we're going to go at top speed. We're just going to stop to explain difficult words, meanings, and grammar as we go along. And we're going to take in turns. All right. So we
stop your camera so we can see you, please.
We stopped last time with Joe. So far we've met Meg, Joe. We know there's a mom. We know there are 2 sisters who we have not met. In the other house, we know there's an old grandfather, Mr. Lawrence, and there's his grandson, Laurie. Okay. Now we stopped last time with Joe saying she wanted to go over and tell Mr. Lawrence, like, tell him off because his grandson looked really miserable. Okay. So this is the idea. So I start on page 4 for anybody who has the textbook, and in any case, Hawa is going to help us here.
Yes. I'm sorry, can someone please make me the host, because I cannot share the screen unless I'm the host.
Okay. Yeah.
On it. Okay. I need to find Hawa's name though. 1 second. Okay. Done, Hawa.
Thank you.
The text reading, because I'm going to be reading really fast. Okay, we have 9.5 pages.
Just a second. Got it.
Thank you. I'm starting. Please keep an eye out for what I've underlined in red because that will make it even faster and easier. Please, everybody will mute except Hava, Rakshita, and me, please. Thank you. The idea amused Joe. You know what the idea is? Who liked to do daring things and always scandalizing Meg by her queer performances. Scandalizing, shocking. You know, Meg is the one who always plays by the rules. Joe is the one who always does the masti. The plan of going over was not forgotten. And when snowy afternoon came, Joe resolved to try what could be done. Decided to decide something firmly. She saw Mr. Lawrence drive out and then sallied out to dig her way down the hedge where she paused and took a survey. Sallied out, she set out. It's written there on the side. All quiet, curtains down to the lower windows, servants out of sight, and nothing human visible but a curly black head leaning on a thin hand at the upper window.
There he is.
Oh, Joe.
Poor boy, all alone and sick this dismal day. Dismal is a dull day. It's a shame. I'll toss up a snowball and make him look out. And then say a kind word to him.
Up went a handful of soft, and the head turned at once, showing a face which lost its listless look in a minute. Listless, a look which is lacking energy, which is dull, which is bored, ill. He lost his listless look in a minute as the big eyes brightened and the mouth began to smile. Joe nodded and laughed and flourished her broom as she waved her broom as she called out.
How do you do? Are you sick?
Laurie opened the window and croaked out as hoarsely as a raven. Croaked out as hoarsely as a raven. A raven is a big black bird, very much like a crow in India. It's bigger, okay? Croaked
Better.
As what is to croak? The sound that a crow makes cawing is a bit like the crow, like croaking, right? So croaked out as hoarsely as a raven. What part of speech is this? What would you call this? Anyone?
Simile.
Anyone gonna help us here? Croaked out as hoarsely as a raven.
It's simile.
Just speak. Yes, yes, thank you. Who said that, Nafisa? Who said
Yes.
spoke? Yeah, thank you. It's a simile, right? His voice, because he has a cold cough or whatever he has, he's croaking as hoarsely as a raven. Please continue. Ava?
Yes. Better. Thank you. I have had bad cold and been shut up a week.
I'm sorry. What do you amuse yourself with?
Nothing. It's as dull as tomb up here. As dull as tomb means the person who could be very slowly to think and understand and who is very boring and lazy.
What's a tomb? What's a tomb?
Anyone?
It's a sort of a cave sort of place which is closed and underground or something.
Why? What's it for?
Like it's for like in old days people used to keep tombs so that they can keep weapons and they can hide over there.
A tomb is a place where you bury your dead. Okay, so how will it be in the tomb? Will it be in a very bright, sprightly place with rock music? No, it'll be dull, right? It'll be silent, it'll be quiet. There won't be anything happening in the tomb, right? So it's going to be dull as a tomb. Nafisa, what part of speech is this? Again.
Simile only.
Thank you. Thank you. A house is so dull compared to a tomb, which is also dull. Please continue.
Don't you read?
Not much. They won't let me.
Can't somebody read to you?
Grandpa does sometimes, but my books don't interest him. And I hate to ask Brooke all the time.
Have someone come and see you then.
There isn't anyone I'd like to see. Boys make such a row and my head is weak. I'm sorry, someone is trying to get inside the room. Can someone please let them in?
Oh, someone's waiting. Okay.
Sorry, only the host can let them in. That's why we have to be careful about that.
Yes.
Okay, boys make such a row. Sorry, Hava's been distracted.
I'll read.
Are we okay now?
Yes, yes.
Boys make such a row, boys make such a noise, and his head hurts because he's ill, right? Okay, continue.
Isn't there some nice girl who'd read and amuse you? Girls are quiet and like to play nurse.
Hava.
Yes, I'm picking up the next page, ma'am.
Oh, sorry. I'll take a part. Don't know any. Rakshita. Rakshita, go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. You know us,
began Joe, then laughed and stuffed.
So do I. Will you come, please?
Cried Laurie.
I'm not quite nice, but I'll come. If mother will let me. I'll go ask her, shut the window like a good boy and wait till I come.
With that, Joe shouldered her broom and marched into the house. Shouldered her broom, put the broom on the shoulder, okay? And marched into the house, wondering what they would all say to her. Laurie was a flutter of excitement at the idea of having company and flew about to get ready for, as Mrs. March said, he was a little gentleman and did honor to the coming guest by brushing his curly pate, putting on fresh color, tidying up, and trying to tidy up the room, which in spite of dozen servants was anything but neat. He was a little gentleman. So even at his age, he's been brought up with all the correct manners and the correct way to behave. So immediately he knows that someone's coming to visit him, he starts cleaning himself up and he tries to tidy up his room, which in spite of having a dozen servants, even though he had many servants, his room was anything but neat. So it was untidy. Presently there came a loud ring and a decided voice asking for Mr. Laurie. And a surprised-looking servant came running up to announce the young lady. To announce the young lady, when there's a guest at the door, servants open the door, ask who it is, and then, okay, I'll tell you, Madam Bhaji wala aaya, same way, but she came to say that Laurie is, that a young lady called Jo has come to visit. Continue. One thing, why is this surprised? A surprised looking servant.
Because no stranger has ever come to their house before. Like no one has ever come to see them.
Thank you. Swara's not allowed to answer actually. Yeah, next.
All right, sure up. It's Miss Jo,
said Laurie, going to the door of his little parlor to meet Jo, who appeared looking rosy and quite at her ease, to be quite at your ease, to be comfortable. All right, she's not nervous at all that she's walked into this big fancy house. With a covered dish in one hand and Beth's 3 kittens in the other. Who's Beth?
Jo's sister.
Jo's sister.
Continue.
Here I am, bag and baggage.
She said,
Mother sent her love. Mother sent her love and was glad if I could do anything for you. Meg wanted me to bring some of her blanc menage. She makes it very nicely. And Beth thought her cats would be comforting. I knew you'd laugh at them, but I couldn't refuse. She was so anxious to do something.
What's blancmange? What is it? Here it says an almond flavored milk pudding. So have you know our usual jelly which we make? We make it in a mold and then you can upturn the mold and have the jelly in a fancy shape. Have you all seen that? Seen that sometime. So blancmange is a similar type of dessert, but it's made of milk, not just of water, and it's set in a mold or a shape. And then you upturn it, and then you have that pretty thing on a plate. Okay, so these are the 2 things she brought with her when she came to visit. It so happened that Beth's funny loan was just the thing. What was the loan? The blancmange was not on loan; it had to be eaten. What was the other thing? Yes,
Kittens.
The kitten.
For in laughing over the kids, Laurie forgot his bashfulness and grew sociable at once. Bashfulness shines, all right?
That looks too pretty to eat.
He said, smiling with pleasure, as Joe uncovered the dish and showed the blamage, surrounded by a garland of green leaves and scarlet flowers of Amy's pet geranium. What's a geranium? Picture, please. What's a geranium, guys? Anyone?
It's a flower.
Yes, thank you. It's a flower. And so she's decorated the dessert, around the dessert, with a garland of green leaves and of scarlet colored geraniums. The picture will come up, sorry. We'll just continue till then. Please. Sorry.
Rashna, we can't hear you. Sorry.
Yeah, it's not me who needs to read, but I'll just read. It isn't anything. Only they all felt kindly and wanted to show it. Tell the girl to put it away for your tea. It's so simple, you can eat it, and being soft, it will slip down without hurting your sore throat. What a cozy room this is. See the geraniums, guys. Okay. Thank you. Laurie, it might be. Hava not? Are we not able to hear Hava?
No, I think when she's switching screens not to share the pages.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Let's go, Hava. It might be.
Ma'am, can you please continue because I'm sharing the page right now.
Sure. It might be if it was kept nice, but the maids are lazy and know how to make them mind. To make somebody mind, to make somebody listen to you. Okay? If you guys don't read the chapter, then I have to make you mind, right? Then I have to read it. It worries me though. Joe?
I'll write it up in 2 minutes. For it only needs to have the heat brushed, so, and the things made straight on the mantelpiece. So, and the books put here, and the bottles there, and your sofa turned from the light, and the pillows plumped up a bit. Now then, you're fixed.
Can we have the picture of the mantelpiece, please, and the heart, so everyone understands?
Ma'am, I had a question here, may I?
Yeah.
What does to have the heart brushed mean?
Thank you.
HEART.
Yeah, we're just going there. The picture is coming. This is a fireplace, okay? This is not the Lawrence's fireplace. This is the fireplace at Mrs. March's house. All right, and here you see the sisters and you see the mother. You see the fireplace. Concentrate on the fireplace, please. The part in front of the fire is called the hearth. And there, often you'll have pieces of wood and ash and smoke, right, coming and messing it up. So it has to be brushed to be kept clean. Similarly, the part above the fireplace, where you saw the stockings hanging, that is called the mantelpiece. So on the mantelpiece, people keep a lot of things. What is Laurie kept on the mantelpiece? His books are there. There are some bottles, which is what it says here, correct? In the picture which we saw, there were stockings hanging from the mantelpiece because it's coming close to Christmas time, which again, you'll have a reference later on about. So please keep that in mind. Okay, so did you get the hearth and did you get the mantelpiece?
Yes.
Thank you. And so he was, for as she laughed and talked, Joe had whisked things into place and given quite a different air to the room. Laurie watched her in respectful silence, and when she beckoned him to the sofa, he sat down with a sigh of satisfaction, saying gratefully,
"How kind you are. Yes, that's what it wanted. Now please take the big chair and let me do something to amuse my company."
"No, I came to amuse you. Shall I read aloud?"
And Joe looked affectionately towards some inviting books nearby.
"Thank you. I've read all those, and if you don't mind, I'd rather talk,"
answered Laurie.
"Not a bit. I'll talk all day if you'll only set me going. Beth says I never know when to stop."
bet the rosy one who stays at home, good deal, and sometimes goes out with a little basket?
Yes.
Asked Laurie with interest. Sorry.
Yes, that's Bet. She's my girl. And a regular, good one she is, too.
The pretty one is Meg, and the curly-haired one is Amy, I believe.
How did you find that out?
Laurie colored up, but answered frankly. To color up? To be embarrassed. To blush when you feel embarrassed. Why is he feeling embarrassed? Because he's never met them, and yet he knows who's who and what's happening, which kind of shows that he's been sneaking out and looking at the girls, right? So obviously he's a bit embarrassed. Laurie colored up, but answered frankly.
Why, you see, I often hear you calling to one another, and when I'm alone up here, I can't help looking over at... Ma'am, can you continue, please?
Yes, looking over at your house. You always seem to be having such a good time. I beg your pardon for being so rude, but sometimes you forget to put down the curtain at the window where the flowers are. And when the lamps are lighted, it's like looking at a picture to see the fire and you all around the table with your mother. Her face is right opposite and it looks so sweet behind the flowers. I can't help watching it. I haven't got any mother, you know. And Laurie poked the fire to hide a little twitching of his lips that he could not control. Why were Laurie's lips twitching? Anyone?
He missed his mother.
Yes, sure. He doesn't have a mom, right? He has only the old grandfather. And when he sees a picture of this happy family, which he does see very often every evening, he is reminded of the fact that he doesn't have one. The solitary, hungry look in his eye went straight to Jo's warm heart. She had been so simply taught that there was no nonsense in her head, and at 15 she was as innocent and frank as any child. Laurie was sick and lonely, and feeling how rich she was in home and happiness, she gladly tried to share it with him. Okay, I've underlined this whole part, please. This is a great point for a discussion. To be who have anything, who's what we might call a simple middle class home. Laurie is the one living in the great big mansion with servants you could possibly imagine. Yet, feeling how rich she was in home and happiness, she gladly tried to share it with him. Got it? Her face was very friendly and her sharp voice unusually gentle as she said,
"We'll never draw that curtain anymore, and I give you leave to look as much as you like. I just wish, though, instead of peeping, you'd come over and us. Mother is so splendid. She'd do you heaps of good, and Bet would sing to you if you begged her to. And Amy would dance. Meg and I would make you laugh over our funny stage performances. They used to perform all these plays to amuse themselves, and we'd have jolly times. Wouldn't your grandpa let you?"
I think he would, if your mother asked him. He's very kind, though he does not look so. He lets me do what I like, pretty much. Only he's afraid I might be to bother to stranger.
Began Laurie, brightening more and more.
"We're not strangers, we're neighbors, and you needn't think you'd be a bother. We want you to know, and I've been trying to do this ever so long. We haven't been here a great while, you know, but we have got acquainted with all our neighbors but you."
You see, Grandpa lives among his books and doesn't mind much what happened outside. Mr. Broke, my tutor, doesn't stay here, you know, and I have no
one to go about with me. So I just stop at home and get on as I can.
"That's bad. You ought to make an effort and go visiting everywhere you are asked. Then you'll have plenty of friends and pleasant places to go to. Never mind being bashful. It won't last long if you keep going.
Laurie turned red again, but wasn't offended at being accused of bashfulness. Bashfulness? Shyness. For there was so much goodwill in Jo, it was impossible not to take her blunt speeches as kindly as they were meant.
Do you like your school?
Asked the boy, changing the subject after a little pause, during which he stared at the fire, and Jo looked about her well pleased.
Don't go to school. I'm a businessman. A girl, I mean. I go to wait on my great aunt. And a dear cross, old soul she is, too. So mostly girls her age, those who were not attending school, would find some other member of their family to help and look after. Mostly there were many, because it wasn't that easy to find servants in that time, let alone to be easy to afford them all. So she had one aunt who was not married. And this aunt needed help with her daily chores and a company. So she used to go to her place to, give her company and help her out.
And a dear cross soul she is. Cross, an angry type of person, right? But she doesn't want to say straight off that she's actually quite a horrid person. So it is a dear cross soul she is too. Anyone watch the movie, Kushi? You saw that woman in the movie, right?
Yes.
Anything but nice. Anyway, Laurie opened her mouth to ask other questions, but remembering just in time that it wasn't manners to make too many inquiries into people's affairs, he shut it again. Please remember, all the manners, he all the time has to stay within his upbringing. He shut it again and looked uncomfortable. Jo liked his good breeding and didn't mind having a laugh at Aunt March. Aunt March being the old lady she takes care of. So she gave him a lively description of the fidgety old lady, a fat poodle, the parrot that talked Spanish, and the library where she reveled. Laurie enjoyed this immensely, and when she told about the prim old gentleman who came once to woo Aunt March, and in the middle of the fine speech, how Paul had tweaked his wig off, to his great dismay, the boy lay back and laughed till tears ran down his cheeks, and a maid popped in to see what the matter was. So basically, she's just telling him all the stories about her crazy old aunt and amusing him tremendously. He laughed so loudly that the maid came in to check, because she presumably had never heard him laughing and having such a good time before. Please continue.
Oh, that does me to no end of good. Tell me more, please.
He said, taking his face out of the sofa cushion, red and shining with merriment. Much elated with her success, Jo did tell on all about their plays and plans, their hopes and fears for father, and the most interesting events of the little world in which the sisters lived. Fears for their father. Just for your information, the father is fighting in the Civil War in the US, and so he's gone off. He's a soldier, and so obviously they're worried for him. Then they got to talking about books, and to Jo's delight, she found that Laurie loved them as well as she did and had read even more than herself.
If you like them so much, come down and see ours. I'm sorry. Grandfather is out. You needn't be afraid,
said Laurie, getting up.
I'm not afraid of anything,
returned Jo with a toss of her head.
I don't believe you are,
exclaimed the boy, looking at her with much admiration, though he privately thought she would have good reason to be a trifle afraid of the old gentleman if she met him in some of his moods. The atmosphere of the whole house was summer-like. Laurie led the way from room to room, letting Jo stop to examine whatever struck her fancy, whatever she liked, whatever took her fancy. And so at last they came to the library, where she clapped her hands and pranced, danced around, pranced, as she always did when especially delighted. It was lined with books, and there were pictures and statues and distracting little cabinets full of coins and curiosities. Curiosities. Any strange little thing that people tend to collect. People collect all kinds of weird things, as you all know. So it was full of coins and curiosities, and sleepy hollow chairs, and queer tables and bronzes, and best of all, a great open fireplace with quaint tiles all around it. Sleepy hollow chairs, big armchairs. you know, where you can just lie around. All the Parsis know this. We have them in our grandparents' homes, right? Dilkush is smiling. Yep. Continue, please.
What richness!
Sighed Joe, sinking into the depth of a velour chair and gazing about with an air of intense satisfaction.
Theodore Lawrence, you ought to be the happiest boy in the world.
She added impressively.
A fellow can't live on books,
said Laurie, shaking his head as he perched on the table opposite. Before he could say more, a bell rang and Joe flew up, exclaiming with alarm.
Mercy me, it's your grandpa.
Well, what if it is? You're not afraid of anything, you know,
returned the boy, looking wicked.
I think I am a little bit afraid of him, but don't know why I should be. Marmee said I might come, and I don't think you're any worse for it,
said Joe, composing herself, though she kept her eyes on the door. I'm a great deal better for it, and ever so much obliged. I'm only afraid you are very tired of talking to me. It was so pleasant, I couldn't bear to stop, said Laurie gratefully.
The doctor to see you, sir.
And the maid beckoned as she spoke. Would you mind if I left you for a minute? I suppose I must see him, said Laurie.
Don't mind me. I'm happy as a cricket here,
answered Joe. Happy as a cricket. Who's a cricket? An insect, which presumably makes a sound. A cricket keeps making this sound. You have definitely heard it. And it's called chirping like a cricket. The sound that a cricket makes is called chirping. So when you're chirpy, you're presumably happy, right? So don't mind me here. I'm happy as a cricket. So I'm happy as a cricket chirping. So she compares herself to a chirping cricket. What part of speech is this again? Unmute somebody, please, and tell me.
Simile, ma'am.
It's a simile. Thank you so much. So we have 3 similes so far. And we're doing a bit of grammar that will make Freyaz happy. Laurie went away and his guest amused herself in her own way. She was standing before a fine portrait of an old gentleman when a door opened again and without turning, she said decidedly,
I'm sure now that I shouldn't be afraid of him, for he's got kind eyes. Through his mouth is grim, and he looks as if he had a tremendous will of his own. He isn't as handsome as my grandfather, but I like him.
Next page. Thank you, ma'am, said a gruff voice behind her, and there, to her great dismay, stood old Mr. Lawrence. To her great dismay, she got worried, right? Poor Joe blushed till she couldn't blush any redder, and her heart began to beat uncomfortably fast as she thought what she had said. For a minute, a wild desire to run away possessed her, but that was cowardly, and the girls would laugh at her. So she resolved to stay and get out of the scrape as she could. A second look showed her that the living eyes under the bushy eyebrows, the living eyes, she had looked at a portrait of Mr. Lawrence. Those were the painted eyes, right? The living eyes, that means Mr. Lawrence himself. A second look showed her that the living eyes under the bushy eyebrows were kinder even than the painted ones. And there was a slight twinkle in them, which lessened her fear a good deal. The gruff voice was gruffer than ever, as the old gentleman said abruptly, after the dreadful pause. So you're not afraid of me, hey?
Not much, sir.
And you don't think me as handsome as your grandfather?
Not quite, sir.
And I've got a tremendous will, have I?
I only said I thought so.
But you like me in spite of it?
Yes, I do, sir.
That answer pleased the old gentleman. He gave a short laugh, shook hands with her, and putting his finger under her chin, turned up her face, examined it gravely, and let it go, saying with a nod, "You've got your grandfather's spirit, if you haven't his face. He was a fine man, my dear, and what is better, he was a brave and an honest one, and I was proud to be his friend."
Thank you, sir.
And Joe was quite comfortable after that, for it suited her exactly. Abba, you want to join in?
Yes. What have you been doing to this boy of mine? Hey, can you hear me?
What have you been What have you been doing to this boy of mine? Hey, was the next question sharply put.
Only
Akshita?
trying to be neighborly, sir.
And Joe told how her visit came about. You think he needs cheering up? Sorry.
Okay. You think he needs cheering up a bit, do you?
Yes, sir. He seems a little lonely. And young folks,
Sorry, we've lost her. And young folks would do him good, perhaps. They're only girls, but we should be glad to help if we could. For we don't forget the splendid Christmas present you sent us, said Joe eagerly. They're only girls. Would anyone say that in this day and age? Please remember it's the 19th century. We're only girls, first line. We should be glad to help if we could. For we don't forget the splendid Christmas present you sent us, said Joe eagerly. The Lawrences had sent over to the Marches' home a huge amount of food on Christmas Day, a huge Christmas breakfast. Okay, so that was the present as a Christmas present. So that is what she's referring to.
What? That was the boy's affair. How was that poor woman?
doing nicely, sir.
And off went Joe, talking very fast, as she told all about the Hummels in whom her mother had interested richer friends than they were. Okay, so when Mr. Lawrence had sent this fantastic amount of food over to the Marches' home, please remember the Marches themselves are very middle-class people and were having a very simple meal for Christmas Day. But their mother, Mrs. March, as Joe has already called her mother a splendid woman, she took it upon herself to take care of the people in her locality who were even less well off than she was. And the Hummels is one such family who Mrs. March used to take care of. So when they received this fantastic food, the girls, along with Mrs. March, took most of that food over to the Hummels. For those who watched the movie, it really is shown beautifully there. Okay, so Mrs. March couldn't do much because she had so little. Whatever little she had, she shared, and she interested her richer friends to help. Like Freyas and I get other people to donate money to donate. Same way. Okay. Okay. Continue, guys.
Just her father's way of doing good. I shall come and see your mother some fine day. Tell her so. There's the tea bell. We have it early on the boy's account. Come on, and go on being neighborly.
If you'd like to have me, sir.
Shouldn't ask you if I didn't,
said Mr. Lawrence, offering her his arm the old-fashioned way. So the tea bell, when there is a meal ready to be served, a bell rings. Okay, there's a dinner gong or a tea bell, and then everyone in the house knows that they have to go down to eat. So tea is what they have in the evening. They don't have dinner, as we call it. So it rang, and Mr. Lawrence invited Joe to come and join them, right? I wouldn't ask you if I didn't mean it. He offered her his arm with old-fashioned courtesy. A lady walks into the dining room holding the arm of a gentleman. She doesn't walk in alone, okay, even if she's starving. So he offered her his arm and then escorted her to tea. Go ahead.
What would Meg say to this?
Thought Joe, as she was marched away, while her eyes danced with fun as she imagined herself telling the story at home. Ooh, we're done. Okay, guys. Now, I presume that it's going to take you more than 1 hour just to read this, okay, with your mentees. But if you have any time left over, we have made some questions. Okay, some of the kids we see are really super fast and they may get it much faster than what we estimate. Some may not, and you may have to go on with it. As Freya said earlier, it's not important to know the meaning of every single word. We've just told it all to you because in the position of a teacher, you need to know everything, all right? But so long as they get the gist of it, they're following the story, they're going along with the story, that's fine, okay? Don't sweat over every single word and every single phrase. Just let it roll. So long as you think you're getting it, it's fine, all right? Okay, so if you turn to the questions, the first 1 or 2 questions are the simpler ones, because if you have some time, then you can go with this. They're the standard exam type of questions, but they're really easy. Reference to context, you know. Who said these words to whom and why? I think in the SSE module, this is how they call it. The first one is, I'm not afraid of anything. Who said these words? Obviously, Joe said these words. To whom? To Laurie. Why? When they were talking about the grandfather, right? When he said that the grandfather was not at home and therefore they could take a walk around and go to the library. 2, a fellow can't live on books. Of course, you know that. Laurie said that. And when she said, Joe said, he said that to Joe, right? When Joe remarked that he should be super happy in this fabulous house because she was so impressed by everything. That's the time he said a fellow can't live on books. These kind of questions, I think the mentees will be able to answer. They're relatively simple. Give them a minute if they want to go back and look at it. But these lines are like not hard to figure out who said them.
Rashna, may I step in?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. So thank you so much for reading that, Rakshita, Rashna, Hawa. That was awesome. Now I'm thinking I shouldn't have read it and come anyway. Okay. Hawa, firstly, can you WhatsApp me all those images that you just put up on the screen so we can go through the underlined, the red underlined? I don't have that with me. Secondly, everybody good with everything they read so far and that they had underlined in red? Anybody has any question about that before we go to the questions that they have so thoughtfully put together for us?
Ma'am, I had a question.
Yes, please ask.
So, the place where she says that, just a second, I'm finding that
It's
out.
okay,
The businessman, and then she continues, girl, like when she's going to her great aunt's place. So, what does that like? I don't go to school. I'm a businessman, girl. I mean,
yeah. That's
so like basically, she goes.
She could be paid for taking care of her aunt, okay? And she certainly, by going there, she gets paid either in money or in kind, as in new clothes are made for her, or she's given good food, she's given stuff to take back to her own family. Because remember, they're not well off. Aunt March is well off, okay, compared to them. So many times young girls were like companions to an older person, and they actually had to work. The lady would tell her, read this, fetch my dress, do this for me, run errands, go and fetch this from the market for me. So they actually ran errands for them. So she's actually helping to support the family. So it's not a businessman or businesswoman in the way we would look at it, right?
Taking care of the aunt.
Yes, and being remunerated for that effort.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Ma'am, I had one more point.
Yeah, Rakshita. Please.
So also, girls that age would often go to their like richer relatives to be groomed, as well as to be counted in such a circle so that they could be married off well. So that is, if you want to look at it from like a business angle, that was somewhat like a business deal because she was hanging out with that aunt who was very much well off than her own family. She was in that particular circle. Her aunt would talk well about her when she talked to her friends and all, and that would help her to get married well.
Russia mute, Russia mute, Russia mute.
She would also get invited to all the places where her aunt is, right? Her aunt goes, she automatically goes with her, right? So she gets to visit all the rich people where she's more likely to find a husband, a rich husband, okay? Because the aim in life in the 19th century of any young woman is to find a rich guy. That's it, okay? Going to school and all is a big waste of time. Does not help you.
Still the case, dude. Never mind.
Muhammad, watch out. Why are we all on his case?
I don't know. Richard.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Okay, guys.
Any
Next.
other questions, please? Any other questions or doubts? Okay. So Hawa has kindly sent the images. We're just going to roll through them once to make sure that we're all on the same page with the red underlined phrases that they have taken the time to do for us. Everybody can see the screen, please? Just nod if you can. Can you see the screen? Great. Thank you, Dilkhush, for that acknowledgement. So they have scandalizing. I'm just reading the words out. Just say stop when you don't understand one. Scandalizing, resolved, sallied, dismal. Look through this. Anything else you want them to cover? Because you're going to have to cover it with your mentees in a way that your mentees understand it. Any word needs extra clarification. Satyam, Vrushali, Nafisa, all of you are on this call. Sejal, all the red underlined words. I can't see y'all, so you're just gonna have to put it in the chat. So if or just speak. All right, next page. Oh, somebody's putting in the chat.
Thank you. Thank you, Satyam.
Okay. Next page. What does it mean to make them mind? What does it mean to make them mind? Rashna covered it for us. What does it mean to make them mind?
Make them listen.
That's right. Good answer. This is the next page, please. I see you all reading. Thank you for taking the time. What does it mean Meg and I would make you laugh over our funny stage properties?
They had plays, like they used to entertain themselves by creating some play story kind of a thing and then act it out.
Thank you, Dilkhush. Thank you.
And by properties, sorry to interrupt, you know, you use props when you have a play, right? So even maybe I have this play. So they would make funny things and make funny costumes and masks and stuff. So continue.
No, this is the next page. Struck her fancy. Struck her fancy means?
Grabbed her interest.
Yes. Well said, Swara. Well said. I think this you all got, Rashna. I'm happy as a cricket here. There's nothing in... dismay means? Dismay means?
Worried.
Mm-hmm.
Dull.
Rashna, dull? Dismay, dull?
No, worried.
Worried.
Because suddenly she's turned around and seen this old gentleman, right? She didn't expect him to be there. She thought she was talking to Laurie or talking to herself, talking about the portrait.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to stop screen share. We'll go through the questions. I'm looking up some photos to show you all 1950s, pouring tea, ringing the bell, the fireplace. So you all can go through the questions. I'm right here.
1850s.
19th century. Sorry.
No,
18.
No problem. So the next one, question 2, if people can go back to the questions, please. The good old exam question. Change from direct to indirect speech. Kids tend to find it very difficult because of the voice and the tense. So shut the window and wait till I come. Joe told Laurie to shut the window and wait till she came, right? Because we have to change it to the past tense. When you're doing direct speech, you're talking in the present tense, right? And when you're doing indirect, you switched to the past tense. Will you come, please? Asked Laurie to Joe. Laurie asked Joe.
Excuse me, ma'am. Sorry.
Yes.
Sorry, ma'am. Sorry to interrupt. Ma'am, I was asking, how do we explain the direct and indirect speech without going into the technicalities? Because for that we need to
See, you
explain
have
that it's
to,
not.
well, the way I used to do it, sorry. I mean, it may be very simplistic. And I used to say, she says, shut the window and wait till I come. She is saying it now, right? She's there and she's telling Laurie, like I'm telling Satyam, please wait, I'm trying to answer your question. I'm in the present, right? Vartaman Kal, okay? But when we're making it indirect, we are talking about something that has already happened, right? After this thing, I will say, Satyam asked me a question because he already asked and it was over, right? So when we're talking indirect speech, we're talking in Bhutkal, we're talking in something that already happened. So Joe told Laurie, past tense, to shut the window and wait till she came. It already happened. So we change everything to the past tense. Most of them have some notion of how to do this because this keeps coming in their exam papers. But I've purposely deliberately taken the examples which are going to be a little more difficult.
Satyam, does that clarify it for you? For
just
how
go
to
along.
explain it?
Go along, Satyam, with them, and you'll get it.
Yes, so I
Yeah.
got it that like we can
Yeah.
explain that we can change the present into the past tense.
Yes.
But how should we go about the technicalities that in this particular thing you have to use the what do you say, in between you have to use to, not that, and for uh, for will wala will.
I know the prepositions.
Yes,
You don't
yes.
know which prepositions.
Like
But
I
the
know, but
unfortunate,
like
yeah,
I
you
know
know. But how
about
are you
it.
going to
Yeah.
teach them? Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes. Like,
You know, because you have been conversing in English now for a long time, right? So you already have that language strength behind you. Unfortunately, there are no rules for this. And this is why I'm encouraging on the Wednesday, which we're doing with the kids, the more and more we're speaking to them in English, we are hoping with their answers, they are also going to just get into it. They're going to get into the language. So this will come. All right. Don't sweat about it. Just help them out. Let them just tell them that maybe this would be a better option, a better word. All right. And I feel it just is going to come with exposure, with reading, with talking to them.
Rush, one thing. Satyam, remember when you were studying this in FIJC and I was telling you, when you go direct to indirect, remove the quotes. When you write it, remove the quotation marks. They give marks even if you just remove the quotation marks because they realize, okay, you mean that you have understood the difference between direct and indirect. Remember, you and I, we had started like that. Now you're removing quotation marks. Then step 2, how will you say it now that the quotation marks have been removed? That doesn't need to be perfect on, but they need to understand it means when quotation marks are there and someone is saying those exact words, and it means when not saying those exact words, the quotation marks are removed and they are speaking of what they said. Remember, we had started with that. So start with step 1, move to step 2, move to step 3. Got it?
Yes, yes, sure. Thank you.
All right, most welcome. Yes, Rashna.
Okay, so do I have to really read through these, or will you be able to figure it out on your? Can I give you a second to read through and bring up any of the 4 which you?
Ma'am, I had something to add to what
yes,
what Prayas ma'am said. So I completely understand when you talk about the technicalities, because at times, on the face of it, you've just, converted the sentence, but it's not right. Like it doesn't sound right in English. What I do then to help my mentee understand is, I say the same sentence exactly how it would sound if it were said in Hindi. So I think that really helps her grasp the problem, that it's not fitting. Like that phrase is not fitting. Like we don't usually say it like that. So once I convert her and show the contrast between the two languages, she really remembers it.
Thank you, Rakshita.
Thank you, Rakshita.
Anyone else?
Rakshita, could you please give an example as to how do you do it, as in out of these sentences, maybe?
Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm just taking that out. Yeah, so shut the window and wait till I come. So in here, if I was converting that sentence as like somebody who does not know much rules about the English language, it would make it difficult for me to realize that I need to convert the come till to came, and I have to wait till she came. The I needs to be made to a she, right? Because we are talking about her in third person. So to explain that to her, what is first person, second person, and third person, and how that switches when you convert it into, an indirect speech, I would tell her the same sentence in Hindi. For example, कि जो ने लॉरी को कहा कि खिड़की को बंद कर दो और यहीं पे रुको जब तक मैं आती हूँ, उसको कन्वर्ट करके जब मैं उसको when I will say it in an indirect form, मैं उसको बोलूंगी कि जो ने लॉरी को कहा कि वो खिड़की को बंद करके उधर ही इंतजार करे जब तक वो आती है. वो आती है, उसका आना would be not her exact sentence, so it won't be her. So, I know it sounds technical to like you right, like to us right now, but if you simplify that to her or to him, like to your mentee, it mostly fits. Like I won't use the exact same phrase like this sentence exactly, but I would give them a similar example where how as a foreigner, if I learn Hindi, sometimes the sentence I say just don't fit. So I was talking about that particular time, when the sentence is not fitting, when the sentence that the mentee is making is not fitting.
Dilkhush, did that help you at all? Because this will come on their exam paper. It comes every single year. So this is not something we can avoid explaining and think they can, they'll get away with it. 100% it will come on their paper. So if anybody is not clear how to explain this, that's okay. We'll take another minute and we'll explain it. We're still at only 8 o'clock and we've always said the session will be 1 hour. We might end 1 hour, 10 minutes. It's fine. But do you understand this?
Yes, ma'am.
Still doubt? Anybody has a doubt? Okay. So I'll tell you what, on Wednesday, we will lay the foundation for this for you. So on Thursday, it's also easier for you. So on Wednesday, we'll set it up for you so that on Thursday, they can pick up where we've left off with you. All right? Okay, great. All right. So, but we do want you to go through those 4 sentences with them, and we want you to do it, please, before you get on the call with them. We won't do these sentences with them. So hopefully we will have done a good enough job on Wednesday that they will be able to do these sentences with you with relative ease. Okay? All right, great. Thank you, Dilkhush. Rashna and I love it when you all are honest and say, sorry, we don't understand this. How do we explain this? What does this mean? We don't mind taking that extra time, right? Because we know that you all are doing an amazing job with your mentees and we want to support you in doing that. So thank you, Dilkhush, for asking. Is it okay if we move forward now? Like, I think that's question 3.
Yes. Why do you think Laurie said, if you don't mind, I'd rather talk? If you recollect, she offered to read to him, right? But he said, if you don't mind, I'd rather talk. Just a simple answer of 1 sentence, anyone?
Ma'am, why don't you?
Yes. Anybody,
Arushi,
just answer.
Arushi, 1 second. Can
Yes,
I get
ma'am.
Akshika to try? Akshika, please, can you try, darling?
Yes, ma'am. He said this because he had already read all the books uh, in his free time. Also, he wanted to know her more since it was the first time interacting with her. So he said he would rather talk than reading because not to interact with her more.
Well done, Akshika. Well done. Glad you spoke.
Yes,
All right. Thank you, Arushi, for understanding. Okay. Question 4, please.
Discuss the irony in. Now, how are we going to explain this word irony? I don't know. But it's a very good question. Discuss, if you have a mentee who's really struggling, as I told you, let's go with the easy questions. All right. Don't tax them. If we go like, try to go from 0 to hero in 2 sessions, not going to happen. We don't want to put them down. Okay. Discuss the irony in. Laurie was sick and lonely, feeling how rich she was in home and happiness, blah, blah, which I underlined and showed you all in the chapters we were going through. Okay. So Hava is written in brackets. We can frame this in any other way. What she means to say is that what I said, that one of the people here is supposedly very rich, he lives in a great home, but it's the one who actually lives in a much poorer home who feels rich. Why? You can also do a little explanation in Hindi translation, and then I'm sure they will be able to answer you just in very, very simple language.
Arushi, you had a way of explaining irony? Yes.
Yes, ma'am. So irony can be, ma'am, can you please hear me?
Yes, we can.
So irony can be as simple as expressing opposite meaning of something. So us cheez ka meaning, but uska ulta meaning, or something of that sort. Like it's an opposite meaning. So easily they'll be able to understand what irony is, because irony matlab ek cheez, but uska ulta meaning. Matlab ek matlab like if the mentee is not able to understand in English, we can always try to explain it in Hindi. But irony is as simple as something opposite of something.
Fair enough. That's a good place to start, right? That's a good place to start. Fair enough. It's not exactly what we want them to get out of it, but it's a good place to start, right? Thank you, Arushi.
Sorry. Can we say it's a like funny reality or something like this?
Yes, Satyam, you love saying all those things. Yes, you can, but you need to make sure they resonate with that. So like you have understood it as this, but you need to make sure they understand it. Yes, Madhura.
Ma'am, maybe a contradiction, like we say this, but it is not the
Yes. So I think you need to start, it starts with Arushi's and then it migrates to what Madhura is saying, right? Satyam, you're not wrong. It's just how you've made your brain understand it, but we need to make their minds also understand it, right? So
I think sorry.
No, I'm done. Go ahead.
When Satyam says funny reality, I understand what you're trying to say. The reality is totally different from what the perception of the situation is, right? We are perceiving Laurie as clearly, we think he must be extremely happy. Like, what's to be unhappy about, right?
Yes.
The rich guy is actually the lonely and miserable one here, which I think all the kids will get.
And ma'am, anyways, irony is used to express satire or comic elements. So we can always say ki it's used so that you can be thoda sa, this is funny, kind of, like that.
Yeah. I get it.
I think we can give a lot of examples also to like this is what usually happens, but this is what was actually happening. Something like that in a little different example, so that could, like a real life example, could help them understand it.
Yeah. Even using their own situations, that you might be living in a small home, but when you're happy with your parents and your brothers and sisters and you're sitting around and maybe eating a very simple meal in the night, but you're all laughing and talking about the funny things that happened in the day, you are so rich in your love and feel good feelings for each other. And that's what Laurie doesn't have, though he's sitting in this big fancy mansion with all the possible things, comforts you can imagine. I think once you explain it in that way, they will understand. Ulta ho raha hai. Jo aap samajh rahe ho, uska ulta hai. Reality is different from what is really happening. Okay, find the meaning of the chapter. You will only say embarrassed, sorry, to appeal, and they will find colored up, beg your pardon, and struck from the chapter. Okay?
Kids, we're going to say this again. You're not going to give them the meaning.
Yeah.
You're going to give them the word. You're only going to give them the word. Left and right brain connect. They are going to look through and find the meaning of the word. All right? It might take some children longer than others. Breathe. You breathe. Allow them the space. Every few seconds, matlab every 30 seconds, you can say, you're doing a great job. Don't worry. Didi is right here. You're going to find it. And then again, shut up and let them find it. Because if you keep talking, they're going to get distracted and want to keep listening to you. So be patient with them and they will find it. All right? They will find it.
Ma'am, I wanted to ask that should we give them the page number or we will let them find from the 9 pages?
Yeah.
I think you just have to see. That's such a good question, Hawa. I think you have to see how well your mentee is or is not doing. If your mentee has been doing well, then let them have at the 9 pages. But if you feel that you've had to support them through this whole lesson, then you tell them it's on page such and such, top half of the page, bottom half of the page. Because I keep saying this every session, we want to set them up for success. We want them to start believing they can do. And the second we get that programmed in their brains, they will start performing better and better and better for you. And we're seeing evidence of that. We're seeing it week to week happen with the kids. Like, I don't think Huda is on the call today, but one of the greatest examples is Ayush, Huda's mentee. I mean, when we started with him, he didn't even want to make eye contact. And today he'll talk, he'll finish the puzzles, he'll write and ask for more. He wants to read more, learn more. And all what we're doing is saying, you can, you can, you can. So that's your job. All right? Sorry, Rashna.
Not at all. Okay. Question 6, make sentences. The words are again big. Date how much your mentee can do. You may also tell them that they can take their time, make their sentences and send them to you later. No issue. Okay? Because you're already by this time, you're going to be pushing really badly for time. All right? So anything that you want them to even do the question before, find the meanings from the chapter. They can take their time, they can read the chapter, aram se, and they can send it to you. Okay?
Rashna,
so
can you make a sentence for us with beckoned, please?
To beckon is to call out to someone. Okay? The teacher beckoned out to the naughty girl. All right? Okay. Yeah. Cool. You can have the simplest of sentences, just so long as they show the meaning of the word. Okay, this also they might want to do on their own. The traits of the characters are jumble. Now, again, if your mentee is not doing, mentee's English is not strong enough, don't give them the big words like empathic and perceptive. This is from the textbook, incidentally, okay? Not made up by us. But shy, bold, gruff, friendly. Let them at least do those. Again, let them do it in their own time. If you feel they need to think about it and do it in their own time, let them. The last question is the absolute easy peasy, match the words to their opposites. Again, they can do it on their own and just send it. Like many did last time, and you all put up the graphics, and that was nice to see. Thank you. So just play it by ear. Let them do these last few easy ones on their own and send it to you later.
Do you think it would be of value, Rashna, to send some of these questions to them without the answer, like the words? Like when we send them the pages that they have to read, that we send them also, be prepared to make sentences with the following words. Be prepared to find the meanings of some of these words. So some of them can actually get prepared between now and Thursday. Or should we do it on Thursday itself?
I feel, sorry, this is only my opinion. Everybody please voice their opinions. I think it would be nice if the mentors explained
Okay.
the words first.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So we'll send screenshots of the chapter, the pages to them, because I think I think the more work you make them do, like open a PDF, find the page and read, the less likely they are to do it.
Me too.
It just takes, so Rakshita, Hawa, this is learning for you all. The more you take a nice clean screenshot of something and send it to them, the more likely they are to read it. Or at least look at the blue column, find words, they're more likely to engage with the content. So Keisha, if we can put
send the screenshots you sent on the group.
Yes. I think we should send the screenshots of what I've sent. Of what is on the 2.0 group to them, and ask them to read and be prepared and all of that stuff. Yeah. Great.
Can I please suggest that we can ask our kids, because there are many words which they won't understand. Okay, just write them down or write the sentences you won't understand.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Absolutely. And Hawa, that's a superb teaching tool. Before you all go, we've done some homework to show you some things. Remember that fireplace that somebody was asking, why do you have to clean it up? Maybe this you can see it a little more clearly here.
Yes.
You see the wood and the ash and all, it comes out. So it needs to be swept regularly. All right. Does that give you a better picture of what they were trying to explain? And then Keisha has looked up also a few things. 1 second, please. Because here, she sent me this. This is that, Rashna, please pronounce.
Blamage.
Okay, so this is that, can you all see it? On the screen? Yes. Then Keisha sent others also. 1 second. Here, this is that hollow chair. Remember? Rashna was talking about the hollow chair. So this is that hollow chair. Here's another example of that hollow chair. And then I think she's also found about the bell ringing to come for dinner or come for tea or come for lunch or wherever you are going, whichever meal you're having. We never think about the ads on YouTube. Never.
Yeah, but now they're unavoidable.
But at least now you know you have to wash your hands. That's a good reminder. We're in COVID time. Or maybe Keisha, This is what you found. I didn't see this.
Everyone knows what a ganti is. Yeah.
No, that's not what we were trying to show. What we were now I need to turn it off. Nahi to vagyaj kar se niche the. So that's not what we were trying to show. We were actually trying to show that 1850s calling everybody.
We figured it out
for lunch or dinner. All right. That's what we have for you today. Are you excited to teach this to your
I don't know. Do not ask that question.
No. I mean, look, as you were reading it, Rashna, I was paying attention to, I was scrolling through and I was paying attention to what they were doing, and they were reading along with you, and some of them were making notes, and they were quite engaged in listening to this. I think it helped that we had different voices reading it. So Rakshita's voice coming in every now and then, Hawa's voice coming in now and then. So this was superbly well done, wasn't it, kids?
Yes.
It really was superbly well done. We really know that you all work all week long to make sure that this 1 hour is maximized and the mentees get a full amazing benefit from this. So we're good for Thursday. Wednesday, we will set you all up with a platform for direct to indirect and indirect to direct. We'll also add a second grammar lesson. So we'll do 2 grammar lessons on Wednesday. So we'll start laying a foundation down. Where we need you as their mentors, as their guides, is to get them on the call on Wednesday. Those who are getting on the call are doing well, but many are not getting on the call. Please, Wednesday morning, if you are mentors to Salam Bombay kids, we start with them at 9, or YMCA kids. We start with them at 9:30 in the morning. Please wake up on Wednesdays, and by 9:20, 9:25, start getting them on our call. TFI kids, we start at 11 a.m. So by 10:50, 10:55, please start getting them on the call. The Salam Bombay kids are engaging with us on the WhatsApp chat. You can see that. But TFI kids, they're not engaging with us on the WhatsApp chat. So when you speak to them, you need to counsel them about opportunities that they need to create their success. They need to take the opportunities that are coming to them, etc. We want to see more of your kids on our Wednesday calls. Also, some of you have been asking me, can you all join the Wednesday calls when your mentees join the calls? And as of now, we have enough space. We have 100 slots. Our membership on Zoom gives us 100 slots. So yes, you can join on Wednesday calls when your mentees join. But in that call, we want you to be on mute and turn your video off. Right? We don't want them to get distracted by you being on the call. All right. Okay. Any questions for us? Any ideas for us?
I had a point.
Yes, Rakshita, little quickly. Okay, darling, we're over time. Yeah.
I just had one request. So when you're doing the chapter, it would be great if you present the chapter to all the kids as a story, because this is a part of a novel. And if you paint the picture for them, because small incidents like this might lead them to start reading. And if they get interested in reading, that's the best thing to happen to any person ever. So you could be that key to, for them to unlock this entire world of, getting to stories by reading them. So if you make it a little more interesting by a tone of, a change in tone, or, using some, like the tut that Hawa did, So if you go to the chapter thoroughly, you can make it very entertaining for them, and that might be very helpful. That was it.
Thanks, Rakshita. That's awesome. Mohammed has an announcement for us all before we go. Varshan, you have a question?
Ma'am, even I had a question, please.
No. I heard ma'am and I thought it was Varshan. Dilkush, bol.
So I agree with Rakshita's point. However, I had a different point of view. Could we make them, like, I have 2 mentees, so like, could we make them read it in a manner like we give them a character so that there's more attention that we hold, because it's long. Yes. So for us to actually hold their attention, won't it be better if we make them somewhere read, and even maybe teach them how to read in a way, like give them explanation?
Most definitely.
And in that case, you would take the role Rashna took today, so you can read thoda jaldi se, so you can finish it. Guys, listen, now when you do this, you can either take 3 hours to finish it, or you can take an hour, hour 10, hour 15 to finish it. We don't want you to take 3 hours to finish it. You will also be exhausted. They will also be exhausted. We want you to follow sort of the format we've been teaching you now over the last few weeks. We've been, and we want them also to take some ownership about reading ahead of time, like Hawa said, underlining what they don't understand, underlining words they don't understand. So you can cover that with them. Right, Dilkush, don't spend 3 hours going through this with them, all right? Okay, but yes, you can certainly make them read. Rashna and I totally endorse that, because it allows them to start looking at the language, feeling the language, hearing the language, reading the language. So it's great. Okay, anyone else, anything? Madhura.
Yes, ma'am, I would like to say, like, every session I ask my kids to read the paragraph or something, and I can see the progress, the way they read or way they pronounce the other words. So it really helps. And please encourage your kids to read. It will really help them.
Thank you, Madhura. Look at all our young teachers in the making. I love it. This is like a picture. Wait, let's take the picture. This is like a picture if ever I've seen one.
Take a screenshot.
हाँ भूले गए क्या हम करवानो पाछो remind कर.
Command Shift and 3.
Command Shift 3. Everybody smile. such amazing teachers. Yay! It came, Madhura, it came.
Yeah.
All right, Mohammed, please close us out with the amazing news you have for us.
Okay. Hi, guys. So we all are doing an amazing job. Everyone over here is doing an amazing job. And there is a big surprise for each and every one of you all. Do you all want to know what it is? Yes. So I know you all want to know it right now, but you all won't get to know it right now. We are going live on Wednesday. All details will be given on the group. Come live on Wednesday Instagram. You all will get to know what's the surprise, and hopefully you'll like it. Not hopefully, you all will definitely like it. So yeah.
Time. What time?
All details to follow. Everything's a surprise. Everything's a surprise. So it's Youth for Youth, and your youth are totally leading this. The truth is, even I don't know what's happening, exactly what's happening. So they are taking us through it. And so they are inviting us on Wednesday for this live. And then we can all enjoy the surprise together. All right? Cool. So much excitement. So your friends who are missing from this training today, get them on Wednesday at whatever time we're told to get on. All right? Cool. Thank you, Mama. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.